No one in this picture, nor in this room, is entirely safe from mental disability. While it's true that some mental disabilities are inherited, a much larger proportion have environmental causes. A blow to the head in an accident or fall, insufficient oxygen at birth, even the foods we eat and the water we drink can cause mental disability. In extreme forms like Alzheimer's disease, mental disability can transform happy and fully functioning people into total strangers to themselves and those they love. Right now, there's no cure for Alzheimer's disease, Down syndrome, nor for the many disabling conditions like them. But we're getting close, very close. In fact, some researchers believe that we could be treating existing cases of Alzheimer's disease and preventing new ones within 5 to 10 years, if research continues. And research must continue because you and I or someone we love could be affected by mental disability, and continuous research is the only hope we have. Since 1964, the Scottish Rite Charitable Foundation of Canada, a Masonic charity, has been providing financial support for researchers in the field of intellectual disability, and for men and women being educated to work with people who are intellectually disabled. The foundation provides funding for college grants and bursaries, grants for student and independent researchers, and for laboratory research. It's funding with far-reaching implications. In the 1800s, people with intellectual disabilities were treated like criminals. Labeled as lunatics and imbeciles, they were banished from their communities. Out of sight, out of mind. Even at the turn of the century, the intellectually disabled were still being jammed into large institutions, some housing as many as 2,000 people. By the 30s, new ideas were being advanced, ideas that prevailed as late as the 1980s. Perhaps people with intellectual handicaps could be trained. Perhaps they could learn minor skills and live in small rather than large institutions. It was a slow and very small step towards more enlightened thinking. But what of the future? Dr. Marcia Rioux, once a Scottish Rite Grant recipient, is now a member of the Foundation's Awards Committee.
I think the future looks very different for people with intellectual disabilities. Understanding now is that we don't know how much people with intellectual disabilities can learn. We don't know what they can do. We don't know how far they can go. As we look at rights that are guaranteed under the human rights legislation in all provinces and territories in Canada and under the Charter of Rights and Freedoms, we suddenly discover that this is a group of people who probably have potential that we've never even thought possible.
Through research, we are learning how to unlock that potential by studying the biomedical, environmental, and socioeconomic factors that cause mental disability. Dr. Gary Bunch is conducting research in education.
Within the educational community, there's considerable controversy with regard to the proper, most appropriate, most powerful way to educate children who have some type of challenge to their learning. There's a lot of feeling that putting a child with considerable challenge in a regular classroom may simply be high-level, expensive babysitting, that the children really aren't being educated, that the regular classroom teacher is not really capable of responding to the needs of the children, that other children in the classes will tease and harm in some way the children who are integrated, that the general quality of education in the classroom will decline because the teacher has to spend so much time with the child who is integrated.
After 3 years, hours of interviews with teachers, principals, and parents, and thousands of pages of notes, early findings indicate that this is simply not so.
My involvement in this particular area of research has had a number of interesting results coming from it. One of the very direct results within York itself is the initiation of a number of classes for teachers in studying the theory and practice of including children. So it's a very, very powerful result, a very direct result of research. and the effect that research findings can have on the way a faculty of education begins to tailor its course offerings to meet the needs of teachers and children and parents much more effectively.
Well, the world has been slow to recognize the importance of the human intellect. We build monuments to the leaders of armies, we build monuments to sports stars, but we never build monuments to the human intellect. We do not really respect the human intellect. In fact, we abuse it, we damage it.
Dr. Donald McLaughlin heads a team of scientists who are researching the causes of Alzheimer's disease.
The results of Alzheimer's disease are to induce in the individual memory troubles which affect not only language and speech, but also the memory for complex motor acts such as setting a table or changing a light bulb. As the disease progresses, memories for even fundamental phenomena like walking are lost, and eventually that goes on to lead to an individual who's bedridden. Now, the changes in the brain which cause this dramatic loss of all the important cognitive functions is a kind of disconnection of various regions of the brain which control things like speech, like our interest level and motivation levels, and like our control over our emotions. It's a disconnection because the neurons which are affected in Alzheimer's disease lose the contacts they make with other neurons, and that synaptic loss is really the correlate with the dementia of Alzheimer's disease.
While at least 5 genetic factors contribute to Alzheimer's disease, environmental factors seem to play a more significant role in 90% of cases. Head injuries, including those sustained in car and bike accidents, maternal age, and thyroid disease are all listed as possible factors. So is the aluminum content in drinking water. In fact, a study of brain tissue revealed that more than twice the number of Alzheimer's cases occurred in communities where there is an excess of 100 micrograms of aluminum per liter of water. There is also strong evidence of a causal link between Alzheimer's disease and Down syndrome. The clues are there, and researchers are very hopeful of finding the way to prevention and treatment.
Well, progress is very fast in Alzheimer's disease research, and it's entirely possible that the rate of new discovery may lead to a prevention or a treatment within the next 5 or 10 years.
Dr. Kathleen Nitsch was awarded a research grant to fund an observational study of children playing in integrated settings. The study followed 2 groups of preschool children to observe how they played and interacted socially. Half were children with special needs.
Now, what we were hoping to find was to get some parallels and to get an idea about what the commonalities between the children with special needs and their other peers were in order to help facilitate the development of the children with special needs.
After 9 months, the data collected revealed similar patterns of play and opportunities for teachers and daycare workers to help build on budding friendships, opportunities to work with particular toys and types of play that could encourage interactive rather than solitary play. The study also revealed that children with handicaps demanded no more nor less of their teachers than did the non-handicapped children, nor did they display any more negative or aggressive behaviors.
What we have found in this research is that in many cases, the children with special needs are much more competent than we might have initially assumed. They're more adaptable, they learn to follow the routines, and although they may not play quite as sophisticated a manner, they may not interact quite as much as the non-handicapped children, they do have many successful experiences in these areas. Knowing this helps raise, I think, all of our expectations for what the children can be doing, and when we have raised our expectations, often they live up to that as well.
Formerly an accountant, Diane Imfeld is enjoying a second career as a developmental services worker. A Scottish Rite bursary enabled Diane to return to college.
Getting the bursary from the Scottish Rite meant so many things. First, it allowed me to go back to college with a free mind. It provided me the opportunity to let go of some of the part-time jobs. I think I undertook 4 or 5 part-time jobs while I was at college. It allowed me to relax and let go of some of them. It allowed me to attend various workshops. I felt very encouraged, even though I hadn't seen these people who fund the Scottish Rite Foundation. I felt encouraged to continue.
Diane works in 2 group homes in Canada's north, where she helps residents in finding their way through all aspects of daily living, and sees proof every day that people make progress when they live like everyone else in the community.
I think it's a whole package. I think it's living in a home, having their own bedrooms, having the choice to choose their clothing, having a place to put their clothing, their own makeup. They're very proud and want to wear it and are very proud when we assist them in putting it on. It's being able to walk outside and have someone next door say hello to you. Every individual has this right.
Beth Folks has Down syndrome. She works full-time at Manenko Agra, a company which employs over 1,000 people.
I worked here for 8 months. I sorted the mail and delivered mail. I signed my name to courier, and I helped Elsie to build up stocks and start to clean up in the meeting room, put a chair straight. My boss are happy because I work here. I like the people a lot. We are friendly. We talk and joke and eat lunch. I'm happy. I'm glad. They're nice people.
The Scottish Rite Charitable Foundation of Canada, a living example of universal Masonic charity, continues to fund research into mental disability. The Foundation's Awards Committee makes all recommendations relating to the awarding of research funds that you donate to people of every race, creed, color, and nationality.
The Scottish Rite Charitable Foundation did come to our rescue. There's no question about it.
I'm a strong advocate of the basic philosophy of the Scottish Rite, which is to, in the terms of their support for research, is to attempt to preserve the human intellect. And they have made contributions both in the area of learning disabilities and in the mind-destroying diseases of the elderly.
I think the contribution of the Scottish Rite to research in this field has been enormous. People with intellectual disabilities are often the last on the list of people to whom support is given. The research that the Scottish Rite has promoted is invaluable in terms of movement in this field.
And slowly but surely, the walls that hide the knowledge we seek are tumbling down. Slowly but surely, researchers are unraveling the incredible complexities of human biology and the environmental and socioeconomic factors relating to intellectual disability. And much has been learned. We know that Alzheimer's disease and Down syndrome are linked, but we don't know how. We know that prenatal care, our food and water, can cause mental dysfunction, that the enormous impact of intellectual disability affects us all as a society, but we don't know enough. We need to know more about genetics, more about environmental factors, more about new drug therapies, more about ways to support families, friends, and caregivers. We must find our way through the challenges presented by mental disability, because you and I, or someone we love, could be affected by mental disability. By donating to the Scottish Rite Charitable Foundation, you help the research to continue, and it must, because we are getting so close to finding the way.
If I can put that point across to a lot of people that these are human beings, they feel like we do, they hurt like we do, they need food like we do. They have the basic needs like we all have, to be needed, to be wanted, to be loved. And if that's a message I can put through in this city, in this country, then even if I can put it through that much, I think that's fulfillment for me as well.
The work of the Scottish Rite Charitable Foundation is supported by people like you and me, men, women, and children in every walk of life. Please join us by helping as much as you can.